So this is about the revenues. Next section or another section in income statement is expense. With respect to expense, we discussed it earlier as well or in previous readings as well, that to record expense you use two principles or look at two principles. One is matching and other is period cost. Matching principle means that you should match the cost or expense with the income, and period cost means that cost of a particular period should be recorded in that period. So for example, if there is a revenue that you have recorded of $100 for, let's say, 10 units of product, then cost of these 10 units should also be recorded in the same year. That is, cost should be matched with revenue, expense should be matched with revenue. This is matching principle. And another principle is period cost. That is, let's say that you have to pay wages. Wages for the current year are, let's say, $50, but in cash you have only paid $40. So even if you have paid for $40, but the actual amount that is due for the year is $50, then you should record $50. So that is known as period cost principle. If there is a company that is delaying expense recognition, then it will record higher income in earlier years. And if there is a company that is using conservative expense recognition policies, that is recognizing expense earlier, then it will result in lower, it will result in higher income in later period. So through this, by comparing the expense recognition criteria and changes in expense recognition, you should be able to find out the probable impact on profitability of the company in future, whether profitability will increase or decrease in future. So again, companies can play with it by becoming more profitable in a certain year or just to meet the targets of profitability in certain year, but you should be able to find that out and you should know what will be the impact on future years. Within this expense recognition, there are some key things to look at. You should look at all the expenses, but key things are depreciation method. If a company is using accelerated depreciation means that, what is accelerated depreciation? Double declining method or hoti kya hai basically. So accelerated depreciation is the depreciation in which you charge the depreciation based on the net book value. That is based on the remaining life of the asset. Let's say that I bought an asset for $100 and it has a life of 5 years. So there can be two possible methods that I can use. One is that I can use a straight line method. A straight line method is that simply dividing the depreciation expense over the life of the asset. So I bought it for $100 and at the end of the life, I think that the value will be 0. That is known as salvage value. So my cost was $100 and at the end of 5th year, I think that the asset will have a 0 value. That is, salvage value or scrap value will be 0. So what is the depreciable value for asset, or how much will be the depreciation throughout the life? Throughout the life, the depreciation will be cost minus salvage value. That is again $100. So this is my depreciation that I have to charge over the life. Now there can be two methods. First is a straight line method. In a straight line method, you simply divide this expense over the life of asset. So for 5 years, I have to charge $100 of expense. So each year I should be charging 100 divided by 5. That is $20. So each year the expense will be $20 only. In accelerated depreciation, higher depreciation is charged in initial years and lower depreciation is charged in later years. It is charged as a percentage of net book value. Let's say I am charging 20% of net book value. So I will charge 20% of value in first year. First year value is 100. So I will charge 20%. That is $20. Then in second year, my remaining value will be 100 minus 20. That is 80. So my new value will be 80. I will again multiply it by 20%, and what will be the answer? Answer will be 2 into 8. $16. And now my new value will be 80 minus 16. That is 64, and I multiply it by 20%. So you will look into it that depreciation expense will continue to fall throughout the life of the asset. So in accelerated depreciation method, your expense in initial years is higher and expense in later years is lower. So higher in initial years, but lower in later years. And if expense is higher, then net income obviously will be lower. So net income is lower in initial years and higher in later years. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is accelerated depreciation method. In straight line method, expense remains the same and net income also remains the same. But if I compare that to accelerated depreciation method, then in comparison to accelerated depreciation method, straight line method will have lower expense in initial years and higher expense in later years. And net income will be higher in initial years and lower in later years. So that means a choice of the depreciation method can significantly impact your profitability or can significantly impact your net income. So one key thing to look at in expense recognition is that which method is being followed, and for comparisons as well, key thing to look at is that which method, what will be the impact of that method on future income. कोई question है? Any confusion? Throughout the year same होगा. Yeah, that's what I said, that expense will be same throughout the year, but when I compare it with accelerated depreciation method, in comparison to accelerated depreciation, it will be lower in initial years and higher in later years. There can be two strategies to decide that. One is that accounting standards provide some guidance about the choice of standard. Secondly, taxation authorities provide guidance, or the laws of country provides guidance about the selection of method. And third is that in some cases maybe both are allowed and company has a choice to choose from this. That is accelerated depreciation. It depends on the company's strategy. So if company is planning to overstate, company thinks that in initial years its profits will be higher, so it is willing to take charge in initial years, but in later years it want to report a higher earning, so it may go for accelerated depreciation. But if it thinks that in initial years it needs more profit, so it may go for straight line method. Secondly, it will impact the taxation also. Why? Because if your income is being expected, your tax is applied on income, and so your taxes will also be impacted. Here net income will be lower, but your taxes will also be lower. Why? Because your income is lower, and if your income is higher, then your taxes will also be higher. Also, for tax management, companies may want to switch between the methods. So this is the impact of methods. Again, when you are analyzing company, you should look at the differences in method and you should make the adjustment for those. Second key item is provision for doubtful debt. Provision for doubtful debt again is in significant control of the management, and management is making estimates. So there is a chance that management can easily play with it. Provision for increase or decrease in provision for doubtful debt is charged on your P&L or is reflected on your P&L. So if, let's say, if a company wants to save taxes, what it can do is it may increase the percentage of doubtful debt. So far, let's say it was taking 3% of total debt as the percentage of doubtful debt. Now it has started to take 3.5% as doubtful debt. That is, it has increased its expense. And one of the reasons can be it want to understate its income for taxes. Or another case can be that it has reduced it from 3% to 2.5%. And the reason can be that it want to overstate its earnings. So any change in the estimate of provision for doubtful debt would impact the income and or would impact the P&L. And so provision for doubtful debt is in control of the, or is an element which can be used by the companies to control their profitability. So again, you should find out what is the principle being used. Is that principle consistent with the industry practices or not? And whether there is a change in principle. If there is a change in principle, then what is the reason for that change in principle? Or maybe there is a company which is piling up huge debt, for which debtors are going up, trade debtors are continuing to go up, but its provision might not be going up. That is a risky sign. That means company is taking more risk but not booking in accurate provision. So again, you should build in some room for provision, or you should understate earnings with your estimate of the provision. So you should be able to find out whether company is booking provision on based on right estimates or not, whether the provision to estimates are aligned with the competitors or industry practices or not, and if there is a change in provision recording method, then what has caused that change actually. And third key task or key area to look at is inventory costing method. So remember all names of all these items, so that when you are given a financial statement and you are asked to analyze it, you should look at all these factors and you should find out all differences in all these factors.
So we also have third method also,
Percentage of units method, that is also a method. So in percentage of unit method, what you do is you record it on the basis of production, but you don't know whether the revenue or whether the depreciation is higher in initial years or lower in later years. So if the percentage of production method is used, or if a percentage of production method is used, again you can make an estimate of future production, and based on estimate of future production you can find out what will be the expense, and then you can compare it. How is it comparable to accelerated depreciation, or how is it comparable to straight line method? So if a percentage of production method is used, again you will compare it to other possible methods that are being used in the industry. So whatever the method is being used, you should compare it to other methods. Within accelerated method, you can have double declining method, you can have reducing balance method. So there can be different methods within accelerated depreciation as well. So when we do the balance sheet, or when we go on to next reading of balance sheet, we will study those depreciation methods in detail, that is units of production, double declining, and all those. So far, key point to note is that find out within income statement, find out what is the difference between different methods being used and how is it impacting the income statement. Inventory costing method. So inventory costing method can again have significant impact on your financial statement. So with respect to inventory costing, there can be a method of FIFO, there can be method named LIFO, and there can be method named weighted average cost. FIFO means first in first out, that is whatever you are buying first will be sold first. LIFO means last in first out, and weighted average means taking the average of cost. So if you are using FIFO, that means whatever you are buying first will be sold first. So if let's say prices are going up, then in times of prices going up, what you buy earlier will have lower price. So let's say in first year I bought something, then second year, then third year. So cost of buying something in first year will be lower, and cost of buying something in later periods will be higher. In this case, if I am using FIFO, that is first in first out, that means my cost will be understated or cost will be lower. Why? Because I am assuming that what was purchased earlier is being sold now. That is what was purchased at a lower price is being sold now. So that means my cost will be lower. So under FIFO method, cost of goods sold will be lower. If cost is lower, my gross profit will be higher, and the ending inventory value will also be higher. Why? Because ending inventory will be based on the latest prices. I have sold these items and I have the inventory of latest price items. So inventory will be overstated, cost of goods sold will be lower, and gross profit will be higher. If you use LIFO, then you are assuming last in first out. In this case, in the period of increasing prices, your cost will be higher because you are selling these units first. So cost will be higher, ending inventory will be lower, and as cost is higher, gross profit will also be lower. And in weighted average, it should be in between in between FIFO and LIFO. That is in the middle of FIFO and LIFO, and middle of FIFO and LIFO. So key areas to look at with respect to income expense recognition is differences in depreciation methods, provision changes or differences in provision for doubtful debts, and inventory costing methods. After expenses, you have certain unusual items or extraordinary items. These are those items that do not occur very frequently, and as they are unusual, they are not of much importance for your future forecasting. So when you are doing your future forecasting, usually it is better to remove the impact of these items because these will not hold in future. These are only one-time expenses or gains. So within these items, you can have discontinued operations. That is, if a company has sold off a business or discontinued a business. You can have extraordinary items. Remember that this term is only used in US GAAP. IFRS does not use this term extraordinary. IFRS only use the term unusual or infrequent. This extraordinary item term does not have any specific meanings under IFRS. But under US GAAP, it has a specific. Under IFRS, if there is any item unusual or infrequent, that should be reported separately as a separate line item, so that analysts should know that what is unusual and they are able to remove it from their analysis. So when you are analyzing companies with reporting in IFRS and reporting in US GAAP, you should ensure that you have made right adjustments for extraordinary items or unusual and infrequent items. Do you have a question? Any question? Secondly, changes in accounting policies. So with respect to changes in accounting policies, remember there can be two types of changes. Changes in principles and changes in estimates. So there can be a change, let's say, from recording revenue in FIFO to recording revenue in recording inventory in LIFO. That is a change in accounting principle. Remember, whenever there is a change in accounting principle, it requires retrospective application. So there are two cases in which retrospective application is required. One is change in accounting principle and other is correction of an error. If you are correcting an error or if you are changing a principle, accounting principle, then you need to restate previous financial statements as well, so that they become comparable with the current financial statement. But if there is only change in accounting estimate, that can have a prospective application. So for example, if you have changed an estimate, for example, estimate of useful life for asset, then it does not require the company to restate previous financial statement. It can just do it from this year and onwards. So if there is a change in estimate, that is prospective. If there is a change in accounting principle or correction of an error, that is retrospective. So let's take a break here, then we will go on to EPS and calculations for diluted and basic EPS.